Hello, my name is Mrs. Jamie Thomas, and I'm your instructor for this online section of English 111. I want to welcome you to this course for the semester and give you an opportunity to see and know who I am. I realize that many of you are taking English 111 not because it's something that you adamantly wanted to do, but because it is a required course for every degree program here at Richmond Community College. And because of that, I realize that you may have some confusion about what the class is, or you may just have some hesitations about your ability to be successful in the class. Well, I do want to take this opportunity to first assure you that you can 100% be successful in this class. I realize that you may be coming in with some thoughts about your skills as a writer, feeling as though you are inadequate, or maybe you've even had a teacher or instructor somewhere along the way who made you feel discouraged in your ability to write successfully. So I want you to go into this course with the idea that the goal is not perfection, but improvement, right? So you know where you are right now on day one. I want you to think about where it is that you want to be in December, where it is that you want to be in terms of your ability to write. Maybe it's dealing with your use of grammar. Maybe it's something as simple as spelling. Maybe it is sentence structure, organization, or you might even think that you're a really good writer and you just want to take it up another level. So I want you to go into this course thinking about what your personal academic goals are as it relates to writing and this course. Now, when I speak about this course, I realize that not a lot of students actually know what English 111 is. The name of this class is Writing and Inquiry. Of course, we know what writing means. But when we think about that word inquiry, it really revolves around, asking questions, right? And you think, what does that have to do with writing? Well, to be honest, everything that you write starts from a question. With your first essay that we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks, it's going to be a narrative and it's going to be a personal narrative. So even with that, it's going to start with a question. What is it about my life? What part of my story can I share? When we think about even research writing, really good research writing always starts with a question, something that you are curious about in the world. So when we think about the title of this class as being Writing and Inquiry, I want you to use that as kind of a guiding principle as we move throughout all of our assignments. Now, I also want to just encourage you by helping you to understand that writing is not something that you are born with. You do not have an innate ability to just write well. I know that sometimes when we read published authors, you think, how is it that this person can write so well? Well, the thing about it is, no one is born with the talent. You may have a natural inclination toward one thing or another, but everything can be fine tuned. Think about it. If you play a sport, whether it's basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever, now the first day that you went to practice, you had no idea what to do. You might have liked to play basketball at home, but you might not have known all of the rules and the regulations of the game. But the only way that you can learn is if you are taught. And then the only way that you can improve is if you practice. And there's the disconnect when it comes to writing a lot of times. Students always complain and say that they're not good writers. And my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? If you were on a basketball team and you were not good at shooting, wouldn't you practice making more shots? So that's not to say that you should spend your free time writing essays because that's unrealistic. I know that you're not going to do that. But what you can do is take every opportunity that is presented to you, not only in my class, but in your other classes as well, to fine tune the art of writing, right? I'll give you lots of opportunities to do that, but I want you to think about it that way. If you were, for example, to submit a draft to me, and then you get what some would consider negative feedback, don't be discouraged. That's your opportunity to practice so that you can try again. So that's what I ask of you. That's the commitment that I ask you to make with me on day one so that we can be successful. You can be successful in reaching your academic goals as it relates to this class. Now, in terms of some specifics and what to expect for this course, This class is 100% online. So unless you schedule an appointment with me to meet me in my office, this is how we will always communicate, whether it is through these videos or if we have to set up a Teams meeting because you need to video conference with me, or if it's on the phone or email. This is what we are working with. Now, in terms of organization, I want you to think about this class as being organized from Monday to Sunday. Okay. Now, this week is an exception because we are starting in the middle of the week. But for the future, or starting now, our weeks always end on Sunday nights. Now, what that means for you is any assignments that are listed on Moodle are going to be due on Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. So I want you to keep that in mind so that you can plan accordingly. I know that a lot of people, especially when you're online, you like to sit and catch up on things on the weekend, or you work on them after work late at night. That's fine, but keep in mind the deadline is Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Now, in terms of what you can expect throughout each week, there will be a number of assignments posted on Moodle. There will also be videos. Sometimes those videos are just like this, me sitting, talking to you, lecturing about material. Other times, there will be videos that I've embedded from places like YouTube that you can watch because there's lots of supplemental resources on the internet. And so I try my best to kind of pull in all of those resources to give you a really well rounded experience in my class. In terms of your weekly assignments, you can look forward to things like quizzes. And those quizzes, especially starting out, are going to be almost exclusively grammar quizzes. You will look forward to discussion board posts. Speaking of discussion board posts, what you'll notice already starting out is the Got Questions forum. Now, there's details about it on our course Moodle page, but just to give you a heads up, Got Questions, think about that as your participation grade, okay? We are in an online environment, but it is important that you participate as if we were face to face. So, what that means is if you have a question, ask. Right? If you have a comment, make it. The place that's designated for that is the Got Questions forum. Now, a lot of times when folks are in online classes, they feel as though they have to operate in isolation. You are at your house by yourself doing your schoolwork. But writing is not an isolated process. If you think about some prolific writers, if Stephen King, for example, who is a prolific writer who's written tons of books, were just writing in his room by himself, we would have no idea who he is right now, right? So when we think about that, we have to consider that writing is collaborative. Stephen King might have phenomenal ideas, but then he's also working with a team of editors and he's working with other people who are able to encourage and coach him along the way. That's what our classroom needs to be. Okay. Now, the challenge with that is that we're going to do that digitally. So, with the Got Questions forum each week, what I'm asking you to do is to post one question that's related to the content for the week. You can actually post more questions. You can post as much as you want to. You can also make comments. For example, if you are struggling with an assignment and you just want to talk about it in an informal way, then there's the place for that. And not only will I chime in and give feedback, but I also encourage you guys to chime in and give feedback with each other. I realize that you won't physically get to know each other, but there's no reason why we cannot do our best to really try to get to know each other in an online environment. Now, every week you won't have all of those assignments, but that's kind of an overview. Of course, the most important part of your grade, because this is a writing class, is essays. Over the course of the semester, we will write at least 4 major essays. That's going to make up the majority of your grade. Now, the thing about writing essays is that it is a process, right? So one of the student learning outcomes, and the others are listed in the ICR, one of the student learning outcomes is being able to realize that writing is a recursive process. And what that means is that when you write, it's not something that you sit down and do and then you're done, right? You sit down and you do it and then you go back to it and you bounce ideas back and forth, you edit and you revise. And so when I give you, for example, a writing assignment for, I already mentioned your narrative essay, that's going to be one essay that's going to be due on one particular date. But what you cannot do, or at least what you cannot do well, is sit down on that day and write that essay. right? So the thing about being successful in an online writing class is that it does require you to be self-motivated. It does require you to work on things even when there's nothing immediately due, right? So if the paper's due in 2 weeks, the expectation is that you're spending those 2 weeks working on your paper. Now, so that's pretty much what I want you to keep in mind in terms of how to be successful in this class. This course is 3 credit hours. Now, in the classroom setting, that's easy to see. If you were to come to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'd spend roughly 3 hours. So I want you to already put in your mind that you should designate about 3 hours each week with this class alone. Okay, that can be 3 hours at one time. That could be 3 hours over the course of the week. But if you think that you can be successful in this class by logging into Moodle once a week and doing an assignment in 15, 20 minutes, then that's probably not going to happen. Your chances of success are minimized significantly if you approach it that way. Now, before I go, I do want to give you a few pieces of some things to be weary of, right? Um, all of this information is in the ICR and in that welcome PowerPoint, but a couple of key things that will stand in your way of success is one, plagiarism, and two, late work. In terms of plagiarism, I have a zero tolerance policy for plagiarism. Whether you plagiarize intentionally, unintentionally, in part or in whole, the consequence is the same, and that's a zero. This is a writing class. I realize that the internet is a thing and it is so easy to Google almost anything, but I'm not interested in what John has to say on the internet. I can't assess what John has to say. I want to know what you have to say, right? So if you don't feel like you did a great job, that's fine. Give me your not so good work so that I can help you make it better. If you give me someone's work off the internet, then there's no growth for you in terms of your overall career and academic goals. Now, a plugin in Moodle that's going to help me help you is called Safe Assign. Now, some of you may be familiar with turnitin.com, where you could upload your paper and the internet will assess whether or not you've plagiarized. Well, embedded in Moodle is something called Safe Assign. So when you turn in an essay, it's automatically going to scan your essay for evidence of other writings on the internet that look very similar to yours. Now, that's not to say you can't use outside resources. Of course, think about it. When we get to research, unless you just know everything there is to know about hydraulic fracturing, for example, then you're going to have to rely on outside sources. The thing that you have to make sure that you do so that you are not penalized is to credit your sources. There'll be more information about that later on, but I did just want to give you a heads up. When it comes to plagiarism, keep in mind that does not just apply to people on the internet or resources or essays you can buy or get online. That also applies to your mama, who might be really, really good at writing papers, your cousin who took English 111 2 semesters ago and is willing to share your papers. I expect that you will operate with academic integrity and really put some value in the work that you are doing for this class. The other thing that I want you to keep in mind is that I do have a zero late work policy. I keep it really, really simple. I do not accept late work. There are few extenuating circumstances that will allow for exceptions. What I mean by that is if there is a major injury in your life, if there's a major illness, if you have something that really truly prevents you from getting your work done, then I'll work with you. Forgetting, that's not it. Your work schedule, that's not it, right? So you want to make sure that you prioritize your education in addition to all of the other things that you have going on. So I'm telling you up front that all work is due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday nights. So govern yourselves accordingly. Now, the last thing that I want to say is that I'm here for you, even in an online setting. Please do feel free to email me, call me. My contact information and my office hours are listed on the instructor course requirements, which is the ICR. If you ever need to get in touch with me, please do allow for an email, 24 hours for me to respond Monday through Friday, and up to 48 hours for me to respond on the weekend. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I look forward to a wonderful semester with each of you.